This weekend, we will obviously have a champion decided, and we will either have, one way or the other, it'll be a record-breaking year because we will either have a new champion or we will have a five-time champion winning five in a row for the first time since Michael Schumacher did it, and only the third driver in history to win five in a row after Schumacher and Fangio. I hope I've done my history right on that. I'm pretty sure I have. Because Hamilton didn't do five in a row and Senna only got three and Prost only got four. Yeah, no, I've done my maths right there. So, one way or the other, we're going to get a bit of history this weekend. And more importantly, if Max Verstappen wins it this weekend, that will be the greatest sporting comeback ever. Rivaling
Well,
maybe Niki Lauda, but it's up there. In
in
terms
this
of points
generation,
clawed back, in terms of turning around a deficit,
comeback,
Yeah.
fumble.
yeah, you could. They're two sides of the same coin. Two sides of the same coin. The biggest fumble of all time and the biggest comeback of all time. Yes, so obviously that is what we need to talk about right now. And before we get into all of that, what I'm going to do is put up the permutations of what happens this weekend and how people can be champions, and then we'll discuss which thing we think is most likely to happen and if any sort of shenanigans are going to come into play. And no, I don't mean Michael Massey. So currently, Lando Norris sits in the lead on 408 points. Max Verstappen, after Qatar, has taken second place back for the first time since Japan. He's in second on 396 points, and Japan was a very, very, very long time ago. And Oscar Piastri has slipped to third, as unfortunately I predicted a couple of weeks ago, on 392 points. I predicted it when he was bad. I didn't think it would happen at the weekend where he's had his best weekend in years, in months. So that is the standings. That is what we're looking at. Now, how can who win? So Lando Norris is 12 points clear. So what that means is, in the simplest terms, if Lando is on the podium, Lando Norris is the world champion. It's as simple as that. And some might be saying, oh, but he didn't finish third in Qatar. He didn't need to because Max won. If Oscar had won the race in Qatar, Lando needed to be in third to then win it by finishing third in Abu Dhabi because Max won. There's a bigger gap between them. The fourth place, thank you, Kimi Antonelli. No shenanigans. Thank you, Kimi Antonelli. The fourth place was good enough that Lando is still close enough that he can finish third and win the championship. I'm not going to do the maths. I trust Sky when they put this one up. And everybody put these maths up. Max Verstappen can win it. There's other permutations. Finish fourth, fifth, or sixth. What the other two need to do. Realistically, I don't think he's going to finish eighth. Max Verstappen will be the world champion if he wins, and Lando Norris is off the podium. Simple as that. If Lando is fourth or lower, Max Verstappen wins if he wins the race. It doesn't matter what Oscar Piastri does. If Max is second, he needs Lando to be eighth or lower and Piastri to be third or lower. And if Max Verstappen is third, he needs Lando to be ninth or lower and Oscar to be second or lower. So there's a lot more at stake for Max Verstappen. And then unfortunately, you get to Oscar Piastri, and there's only two lines of text here. If Oscar wins the race, he needs Lando sixth or lower, and it doesn't matter what Max does. And if he's second, he needs Lando to be 10th or lower, and he needs Max to be 4th or lower. If Oscar Piastri is third or any lower, it does not matter. He cannot win the championship in any form. So it is still advantage Lando Norris. And what I want to do before we get into that is talk about Lando Norris because Coops, last year, he dominated this one really comfortably. The time doesn't necessarily show to the end. He was 5, 6 seconds ahead of Sainz. But he was comfortably the quickest driver last year in Abu Dhabi. This year's car is much better than last year's car, and he doesn't have a Ferrari right on his tail this year. And the Red Bull is questionable. Max is amazing, but the Red Bull car is questionable. And he was 3 tenths quicker than his teammate in qualifying last year. So let's talk about Lando first. He's got form coming into this race. I know the results this weekend in Qatar doesn't look like it, but he should have been on the podium. That's not his fault. It's the team's fault. We talked about that last week. But he's been in incredible form since Zandvoort, and it's still his to lose, very much so.
Yeah, I mean, Lando, well, in the last episode, I was not a fan of McLaren, and I
It's
was
okay, we,
angry.
we all weren't.
I think it's just the disappointment and anger for a team that you follow for so long to make such mistakes. But if you want to know more about that, go back and listen to it. If you haven't, why are you here? So, yeah, I mean, Lando just needs to go through the weekend like he's done just there. Like he has to do what Oscar Piastri just did in Qatar, other than the race, and just take his time with it. Maybe grow a wee. If he doesn't think the decision that the pit wall are making are the right ones, maybe question it. I think if he doesn't win this, serious questions have to be asked about McLaren in general. The whole outfit needs to be. It can't just be, oh, it was a shame. It's because you can't take it on the one race thing. But yeah, we'll get to our predictions. For anyone who listened to my previous one, you may be surprised what I'm going to put in my prediction. But yeah, yeah, Lando knows what he needs to do, and I think he may possibly do it. However, what could help him is if Max and Piastri did what they did at the start of the last one last year, because that was really helpful. Because if you don't remember, Verstappen hit Piastri, they spun out, they ended up down the back of the grid. So yeah, that if you want to have a
And the
really
reason Lando
easy,
was able to avoid that is that he started on pole and got through the lap. They were right behind him, but he started on pole and got through that first corner quickest.
yeah, yeah,
Joys starting on pole.
all we need is Formula One to spend this whole week on socials going on about this is the first time in 15 years we've had three drivers ready for it and could win the championship, and then it gets settled by the first corner of the Grand Prix, and it's a complete anticlimax because that's what Abu Dhabi does.
Abu
does.
Dhabi do. You missed Abu Dhabi do. Come
Abu
on.
Dhabi don't.
No, there's a couple of things just on that from last year though. There's a couple of permutations there that, like, I don't know, maybe it's the hope, the Ferrari hope in me, for Max, that Lando only finished what? Yeah, as you said, about 6 seconds off. Lando didn't have his closest competitors really at that stage to kind of test how he really was in a fast car going around Abu Dhabi, because as we just said there, Max and Piastri were nowhere after the first lap. But and Max also got 10-second penalty. Piastri never really recovered well. But you had Sainz who kept in touch in a Ferrari that really wasn't that great. But I suppose that Ferrari, and this is where a little bit of Ferrari hope comes in. We had Charles starting in 19th due to an engine penalty and finishing in third. Like, I know by the end of lap one, he was up to eighth because of all the messing that happened with the spinning and the Sergio and all that fun. But look, there's a bit of permutations there that I don't know. Like, yes, the Lando had it his way in Abu Dhabi, but I don't know if it was as comfortable as we've seen some of Lando's other drives this year where they are 10, 30 seconds ahead. So I think it's going to be tight.
That's fair. I don't think Lando's going to run away with this if he does win it. I actually not even 100% sure he's going to actually win the race. We'll get into predictions a little bit later on. But yeah, no, you're right. It will be tighter. I think that Ferrari was much better last year than it was this year. I don't see Charles Leclerc going from 19th to the top five this time around. I could be wrong. If I am, I'll clip this and go straight to the lottery. But it's a little bit less likely. But that said, yes, is it also unlikely that Verstappen and Piastri are going to knock each other out in turn one again? It's not impossible, but it isn't likely. Because to be fair, of all of them, the two of them race together very hard and very well. They haven't really hit each other all year, and they've come together a lot.
The only people that have hit each other this year really have been Lando and
Oscar.
Piastri.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is true. But at least they got each other back. The first time was Lando in Canada, and then Oscar just kind of gave it back to him by family guying his way across the road in America. If you don't get that, look up that meme because I can't really talk about it here. Let's move on to Oscar Piastri actually then. Larry, let me know your thoughts. Obviously, Oscar is the longest shot here by a mile, but he is still mathematically in it. And it's a huge shame for him because we talked about in Qatar how he was the big loser. Well, yes, he beat Lando. He closed the gap to Lando quite significantly, but he lost ground to Max. He lost second place, and he didn't finish far enough ahead of Lando to make the championship kind of his to decide anymore. Now, he lost that. It wasn't just Qatar. He lost that over the past 7 races. But if you're Oscar Piastri, how do you approach this one, Larry?
Well, we touched a little bit, in the last episode, and I don't want to. This is hard because I'm trying not to put my predictions into this, but you have to have, and I think we did talk about the last episode. You have to have the right mentality to win a championship. I think Oscar could. I think he's he's close to having the right mentality. I think he's still, I mean, he's still young too, so there's that. But I feel like if Oscar wants to win this, being as far back as he is, I mean, I think he's 4 points off Max, right?
Yeah.
So he he has to tell Mr. Brown where exactly he can put his papayas and go do his job if he wants to come out on top.
He has to do everything he possibly can for sure. He has to get the best strategy, get the best time coming out of the pits wherever he can, have everything lined up for him if the pit stops go right. But most importantly, he needs to be on pole and win the race because that's his only real shot. And then hope that by being on pole, some chaos can happen behind him and that Lando gets caught up in that chaos and Max.
Yeah.
It's a tough position to be in.
The only issue not issue, the only alternate thing I could see coming out of this is that both of them, Lando and Oscar, decide, this is mine, this is my fight. They're gonna let us fight if they let them fight. And we see a repeat of those earlier races. That's the only thing I could see happening, or them colliding with someone else, things like that. I think once these drivers get into, I mean, it really is for these three all or nothing. I feel like that it's great for me. This is gonna be exciting to watch as long as Abu, I'm not gonna say what the the term was, but as Abu Dhabi does its thing. They
Yes, in
and
Abu Dhabi do.
yeah, I think there's so much that could affect this, but I feel like these three are going to be, I don't know. There's two avenues. Either they're going to go for it and they're going to cause problems, or they're going to be super conservative and play it safe and end up biting themselves in the foot because I don't think Max is going to play it safe.
Well, thank you for setting that up perfectly. There's one thing you can absolutely guarantee this weekend is that there's no chance in hell does Max Verstappen take this one easy, Coops. We've already talked about he needs to be on the podium. There's no way he wins at all if he's not on the podium. If he is on the podium, he needs a lot of things to go his way, but he has to be on the podium, which means wherever he qualifies, he has to send it into turn one again.
100%. Max is probably in the best position because he has nothing really to lose. Because he really shouldn't be in the position he's in the first place. And if he loses it, it was kind of like, oh, dude, it's just, unlucky. And if he wins it, my God, that man's a legend. So yeah, send it. If he's up in front, brilliant, control it. Hope that puts the car in a good position so the McLarens, if they're behind him, if he gets first, are out the way. And it's kind of the unenviable bit because all the pressure will be on the McLarens and Lando and to an extent Piastri and will McLaren grow a spine and say, look, Oscar, if the situation is you're second and Lando's first, you're wingman. If
Well,
that kind of maybe that's a conversation that has to happen. Maybe they have to get rid of that and say it. But I mean, they're damned if they do, damned if they don't, because if they don't do it and they lose the championship, papaya rules is the problem. If they ask Oscar to defend Lando, then everyone's going to be like, oh, they didn't want Oscar to win the championship in the first place. It doesn't really matter, so pick one.
it's like you're all reading my mind because that leads me into the big question for me for this weekend. It's not really who's going to win, it's how they're going to win. And Sock, I will let you have this one. It's an unlikely scenario. Obviously, it's an unlikely scenario, but there absolutely exists a scenario where Max is doing what he needs to do. He's winning the race. He is out in the lead. George Russell has spawned himself into second position, which is also completely likely. Or Kimi Antonelli has spawned himself into second position, but there's a silver car in the way. Oscar is third, Lando is fourth. At third position, with Max ahead of him and Lando right behind him, Oscar cannot win the championship. The only way he wins the championship is if he somehow yeets the two of them out of the race, which isn't going to happen. But Lando can win the championship by finishing third. One, do McLaren make the call? Two, does Oscar listen? And three, if he does, how soon does Mark Webber call Mercedes a Red Bull?
Well, there's a couple of points even before I get to that. This is where Lando's going to find out who his friends really are. And like he's known as the nice guy and everybody's friendly with him. You saw the little banter between him and George after the qualifying and all that. And he's George saying, "Oh, I want to help you in the like this is where we'll really see it. If George spawns himself into second, and Charles be in between the two of them, like we know he qualifies well, we know he can cause a little bit of an upset for a period of time. That could lead then for frustration from Lando. Can he end up doing something a bit silly? Like, does he try and stick it in where it doesn't belong? I mean, this is where Piastri is. I can't see him taking any team orders. I think this is, to be honest, I would say Piastri would rather see Max win it than Lando win it if he can't do it. So I can't, if they finally pull the plug and go, we're back in Lando, too late, lads. Like, this is, you can't do it in the last race when Piastri himself has an opportunity to win it in one circumstance or another. So,
well,
like,
it's the circumstance, obviously the big question there, and I've listened to every podcast so far who are talking about this, and they all say, "Oh, but if Oscar lets him pass and then Max's engine retires, it's still not enough." Oh, but what if Oscar lets him pass and then Max and Lando's engines both go poof? Well, then Oscar wins whether he let him pass or not.
yeah.
You have to imagine that McLaren aren't so entrenched in this papaya-ness that they won't at least have the conversation this weekend,
It's
before
too
this
late,
weekend.
though. It's too
But
late.
they have,
You let it go to the end. You
but the
can't
point I was going to
now.
make is they, like, even if they have the conversation and they plan it and they all agree with it in the car. Lewis Hamilton suddenly lost the ability to hear in 2016 when he was told to stop slowing Sebastian Vettel, stop slowing Nico down so Sebastian Vettel couldn't get so close. Lewis was like, "Oh, I can't hear you. I'm actually winning the race. I'm fine." Oscar will probably do the same thing, or will he? And that's the big question. It's a character question as much as anything. And if Mark Webber's in his ear, he won't. But Mark Webber is living his failed career vicariously through Oscar Piastri. There's no doubt about that at all. If you were Oscar Piastri, what would you do?
I think I don't. Obviously, it's hard to tell because how many conversations has Piastri had all year to try and get McLaren to back him when he was so far ahead? And obviously, we all know that they didn't. It's the question is around: did those conversations happen? How did they go? Like that can can I see a world where Piastri does back off and allow Lando through? Yeah, I mean, I can see that world happen. Like stranger things have happened. McLaren can fuck up an entire weekend with one call. So
It'll
yes,
be the last corner of the last lap where it doesn't matter if the whole fucking grid retires behind him, he
yeah,
can't win it.
yeah, pretty much. Like but I can't see anything happening before the very end. And even at that, it will be a last minute change of heart. It will be like it would have to be in that last lap, and it would have to be at that kind of moment, and it kind of. But other than that, I don't see Piastri doing anything to help Lando this weekend. I really can't. I think this is the biggest opportunity he has to go. Fuck you. Like I don't think he's going to get a better opportunity to do that if he wants to go into next year with papaya rules as they were and potentially blow another World Drivers' Championship after Silverstone next season. By all means, let Lando pass. See what happens.
Well, so the flip side of that, and Larry, I noticed you wanted to come in on this, so I'll preface it with this, and then we can get on to what you're going to say. Is on that, if he doesn't let Lando past, he hasn't a hope in hell of getting any help from that team next year ever, even if he's 400 points ahead.
Yeah, oh yeah, like I don't know that this whole thing with the papaya rules has all season has driven me insane, and I I I feel like Zach Brown's hope was, oh, look at us, we're so good, we're our team can like we're a team, and look, he won this week and he won that week, and I mean I was even upset. Was it last year Hungary when Norris for however many laps that was was deaf for and then finally let Oscar pass. So I just I feel like Brown's utopian, this we're all a team and we're all for one and we're going to win together and this and that is great when their team is consistently performing. I think what beginning of the year they were 1 and 2 almost every race, and then it started to fall off. Max came back. Things happened. Some of it was strategy, some of it was race incidents, some of it there's a lot of things, and that's why we love this sport. But I feel like I don't know. I feel like personally, if I was Oscar, now granted, I know I'm not in his shoes. I don't have multi-million-dollar contracts and all these other sponsors and things that I'm beholden to. But like Sock said, I F off, I'm going for it. It's mine.
If it's shaping up to be a more exciting Grand Prix than maybe it otherwise would have been.
Sean,
bring
you
it back to-
say that the team won't back him next year. He'll get no help. Well, first of all,
he'll get
we don't
considerably
know.
less help if
Well-
they ask him to move and he doesn't.
Well, if he goes out next season and he has that neck about him and he's just taking it, there's no papaya rules anymore. He's thrown them out the window and he can basically steer his side of the garage whatever way he needs to, and he can put his foot down, and he's shown that he can. He takes that forward step that I think, and I've called it out to you for years, that I've just never seen in Lando. Lando is a company man. Lando will toe the company line. I think what McLaren really needed was an Oscar Piastri to come in and play the Max Verstappen role, to say, no, this is how we're going to do it. You will bow to me. And until they do that, I don't think they can be as dominant. But we don't know what cars are going to be dominant what ways next year.
No, well, that's true. We don't know, and that's why it does come down to this one, because one or both of them, it could be the only chance they have. Max Verstappen doesn't care. Max Verstappen might retire on Sunday night, one way or the other.
But there's a massive stake in development of the cars next year once they get their hands on them, what way that they want to take them. So I think drivers have to be ruthless. They really do. And
Oscar hasn't been, though. Like I understand what you're saying, that Lando absolutely hasn't been. He's been a teddy bear. The last couple of weekends, I think he's not necessarily been a teddy bear. He's not been ruthless, but he's been much more. Ever since he barged Oscar out of the way in Singapore, we've seen a completely different Lando Norris. Is he at the level of a Michael Schumacher or Lewis Hamilton? No, he's not even close. But compared to where he was, it was a big step up. But Oscar's not ruthless, he's just robotic.
Yeah,
he's not garnering the team around him.
No, but like I think this is the what's that meme? This is where the villain arc begins.
Yes.
So you know what I mean? Like I think if he's there and
so
he's
Nico
told,
Rosberg did it.
If he's told back off, let Lando through, like that opens the door to the villain arc in my eyes, and I think that's what he has to do.
Well, Formula One will certainly want it to be that dramatic, because they can't really engineer it without, Nicholas Latifi and Michael Massey. But Coops, to bring it back to Lando to finish up, ultimately what he needs to do is just win the damn race. That puts absolutely everything else to win the race, or just be ahead of the other two, be ahead of Oscar. Just outdrive them. Earn the championship. It shuts everybody up.
Yeah, it's not that. It's not something that needs to be overthought. Like the whole strategy thing at the last race, where they kind of tried to do it. If they try to play devil's advocate, they tried to do something that didn't work. I mean, it wasn't that, but we'll try. So yeah. Lando needs to go out, get rid of all the gubbins and all the distractions that you might get in the lead up to it. Let teams deal with that, and let the pundits build it up to be something. And all he wants it to be the most anticlimactic finish this season you'll ever see, where he gets himself up at the front, doesn't get himself involved in any shenanigans in the first couple of laps, and takes his and then the whole thing about Qatar will not really be mentioned again. It will be by some quarters, but it'll be kind of diminished in some respects. And yeah, that's all he needs to do. Sounds easy, Let's see if he can.
Sounds easy. And again, if he just remembers his own words, actually, from a couple of races ago, of one race doesn't matter. 4 or 5 or 6 races in a row, and the form and consistency is what matters. And the fact of the matter is, for 4 or 5 or 6 races in a row, he has been brilliant. It's been smeared a lot. Vegas hurt, wasn't his fault. Qatar, he wasn't brilliant. There was a slip up in him. So, yep, Qatar was a bad weekend, but one bad weekend doesn't matter. The 6 good weekends before that are what matter. So if he can just brush that out of his mind completely, he still did what he needed to do. He got into a position where he only needs to be on the podium. So he got himself back to exactly where he needed to be going into Qatar. So he didn't really actually lose all that much, realistically speaking. He needed to be third if Oscar won. He needed to be fourth if Max won. Max won. He was fourth. He did what he needed to do. No harm. Right. Have a quick chat. Have a quick think, sorry, about your predictions. For the rest of you, while they're doing that, let's have a look at the times for this weekend. These are UK Ireland times as always. Practice 1 is on Friday at 9:30 in the morning, and practice 2 is on Friday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Practice 3 is on Saturday at 10:30 in the morning. Sorry, of course, we have a full weekend, no sprints, no shenanigans, full weekend, full opportunity to set up and make all the changes you need to. Practice 3, 10:30 on Saturday morning. Qualifying is at 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. And then the big one, the race, is lights out at 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. And obviously in Abu Dhabi, it's a light to dark race. Starts with the sun up, ends with the sun down. Very unique, very cool, boring track, but cool setting. So if you're going this weekend, I'm very jealous. So Larry, I'll start with you, please. Can I have your poll, top three, a wild shout, nothing to do with the championship, and who we'll save the champion for last. So just those three, please.
Okay, so like I said, this one is a little different for me. So I'm gonna put Lando on pole, just because like you've been saying, the form has improved and has been there. I feel like even with the issues last week, or this last week, whatever, I feel like he is going to do what he needs to do to get it done. Top three, I still think Max is going to do Max things. I have him winning. And now this is where my predictions start to go kind of all intermingled here. So let's go first to my interesting thing. I'm going to call it black and orange flag. I don't know what else to call it. I'm going to say one of the McLarens will DNF. I don't know which one.
Okay.
And based on that, my P2 is going to be whichever one does not DNF. So it's either going to be Lando or
Max
Oscar.
Verstappen,
one of them is going to
Max Verstappen,
Lando or Oscar.
McLaren.
Yep. And then third, I'm going to keep hoping. I know Sock said he probably isn't, but I'm going to put Leclerc on P3.
Okay, fair enough.
Can I just jump in there? That was Larry's impression of Switzerland trying not to sit on the fence.
Yeah. Yes, it was indeed. Sock, I'll come to you now. Your poll, your top three, and your wild shout. Ideally, that's not to do with the championship.
Hard not to pick something that doesn't interact with the championship with all the permutations on this. So bear with me, but I'm actually going to start with my wild shout first. So Lewis is going to beat a McLaren.
Okay, that's a good one.
Max is going to get pole.
Yep.
I'm going against my gut in the hopes of what I hope happens in the championship. And I'm going to say Charles is third.
Okay.
I'm going to say George spawns into second. And your boy Max comes home in first.
Okay, right. That's going to be interesting. I can't wait to get to your champion prediction. Coops, poll top three and your wild shout, please.
The poll will be Norris. Top three is going to be Norris, Verstappen, George Russell. And I think, is it the wild shout? Lewis Hamilton will get fourth.
Oh, that will hurt.
Just, yeah.
That would absolutely hurt. Okay, so I am going to say Lando will be on pole. The top three, Lando, Oscar, and George. It'll be easier on Oscar if Lando just goes out and wins the damn race. I think it'll just be an easier pill to swallow if he just gets beaten by Lando with no shenanigans at all. I think it'd just be easier for Lando as well if he just goes out and wins the damn race. Then there could be no papaya rules or anything like that, no tinfoil hats, and all of the if, buts, and maybes. You can just play the Max Verstappen quote of "If my mother had balls," and we'll end it there. If you haven't heard that one, go look it up. My wild shout, because it's their last race, and I don't actually think it's going to come in, but just to call them out, I'm going to say double points for Sauber. That'd be amazing in their last race as Sauber before they become Audi. And yeah, double points for Sauber it'd be nice to see them go out on a high. They've not been great recently. We'll get into champion now. And before we do, we put a poll up on Instagram earlier on to get your opinions. 0% of you think Oscar Piastri will win the championship on Sunday, unfortunately. 43% thinks Max Verstappen will do it, and 57% think Lando Norris will be the champion. And based on the points in the setup, that sounds about right, really. So, Larry, who will be the champion of Formula One in 2025?
Well, I probably put myself in that 43%. I think Max is going to come out and do something that is awesome for a new fan to see.
All right, Sock.
Oh yeah, no, McLaren are going to do something horrific in this race. Max going to win it.
Okay, that's 2 for Max. Coops, who's winning the championship?
Lando Norris.
All righty. And I am going to split the vote right down the middle as well and say Lando as well. I don't want Zach Brown to be happy. I don't want Andrea Stella to be justified or anything like that. I just want Lando Norris to win the championship and for McLaren to have a driver's champion for the first time since Lewis Hamilton. Because I don't like Lewis Hamilton. So him being the last McLaren champion irks me every time it's brought up. This is a personal thing, but there we go. Right. So if you haven't already, share with us who do you think is going to be champion this weekend. You'll find us on all socials at JoinEF1. And you find us over on TikTok, actually, at EF1 Official, or head over to YouTube, Everything F1, all one word. If you're not already there watching us, hello if you are, thank you. Hit subscribe and let us know there under the videos on your comments, who do you think will be champion this year? There's so much to talk about. There's so much still to play for. It is going to be an interesting one. Definitely cancel any plans. I don't care if it's birthdays or weddings or anything else. It's just not as important as a three-way fight for the championship for the first time since 2010. Anything can happen this weekend. We just don't know yet, but it is going to be a good one. And there'll be a lot to talk about. We'll be back next week to review that. We'll probably do that on Sunday straight after the race. That's it for this one. This is our last preview of the year. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you very, very much to my panel as always. Thank you, Larry.
Appreciate being here.
Enjoy your 6 a.m. start. Thank you, Suck.
And man.
And thank you as always, Coops.
Thank you.
We will be back to review the champion, whoever that might be, next week. Enjoy the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.